Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. You know it. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I have high hopes for this video. I've given it a lot of thought. I got a comment on it's one of my Facebook groups that I'm in, recovery groups, and I got a comment. Some of my favorite comments are from family members of people that have addiction problems, and some ask me for, well, how did I do it, first of all? And that's one of the hardest questions to answer. When somebody asks me, how do I have over 17 years clean and sober. Since October 23rd, 2006, I've been completely clean and sober. And I was a full-blown hardcore addict, every day, everything. And one of the hardest questions I get is, how did I do it? I don't even know where to start with that. But today I'm going to talk about there's things that work for me. Some people, it's hard to do. Nothing about this is easy. Basically, what I had to do is change everything about my life. I had to rebuild my life and myself from the ground up. Basically, that's really that's the long and short answer. But I did after seeing, like, when I was in NA and AA groups. One of the things that I paid the most attention to, I've been to hundreds of these meetings, the rooms they're called, the NA meetings, or AA meetings. And when I heard somebody talk about having 5, 10, 15, 20 years clean and sober, and then relapsing, I was only at this time I only had maybe 5 years or so, and I have 5 or 10 years, and I would hear people, and my ears would perk up, because I want to learn. I find it amazing that still after, there's no time when you are a recovering addict, that it's going to get easier for you. You have to be on your guard your whole life, basically. And when I would hear people like this talk, I would try to pay attention and learn, what did they do? How did this come about? How did this person have 20 years clean and sober and then relapse? And I always paid attention to that. And there's rules, there's scenarios, situations that I came to put together in my head, basically rules, and that's what this video has to do with. It's not all as complex and guidelines and all that as it sounds. I want to tell you guys about something that happened this time of year too. Reminded me of this incident. It was about this time of the year, about maybe the beginning of December, because there was a lot of Christmas shopping. Okay, and it was basically the worst case scenario. This thing had happened to me, and it within the fraction of a second, what I did at that exact moment would either continue my recovery or possibly lead me to relapse. It was a fraction of a second decision, and these are the things that you have to be ready for. This is one of I told myself that I had to be ready for. Let me give you the whole story here. I was going to a big box store. I don't know what we'll call it, Box Mart. And I kind of changed, like I said, you had to change my whole life around. And I basically started getting up earlier. I adjusted my whole day to getting up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, working out, moving, doing everything I have to do. By 7, 8 o'clock, I'm falling asleep. So and that helped me, because it kept me away from that time of day, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, when I used to go out and go to the bars and the people. That's when that nightlife kind of came to life. So that changing my schedule around kind of helped me with that. So one morning, after I finished working out, I took a quick ride. The box store opens up at 6 a.m. and I was taking a quick ride. I still do that today. As soon as I love going to the store, especially this time of year when the stores are packed, getting there at like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. There's almost nobody in there. I go to, I don't have to talk to anybody. I go to the self-checkout. I'm in and out of there in like not even 5 minutes. I love it. So anyway, I go this day, and it's still dark out. I park my car. There's hardly any cars in the parking lot. And there's a black SUV I noticed that's in a handicap space. And I get out of my car, I lock it up, and I start walking. I see somebody get out of the black SUV, and I start walking towards the store. And the person getting out of the black SUV says, "Hey, Daryl, is that you, Daryl? Hey, dude." So I can't make out who this person is, and then all of a sudden I realize it's somebody that I used to use with. We'll call him Larry. All right, and I like I said, this is part of how I've been clean and sober for 17 years. I cut off all connections with everybody that I used to use with. If I use with them, I cut off all. I'm not friends with them on Facebook. It's nothing personal. It's nothing against them, but it's something I had to do to stay clean. And from what I had heard or seen here and there, I had heard this person was clean also. That he got his business, he inherited his remodeling business from his father. That he got married. He used to go out with this other girl. They were like this toxic twins. And from what I had heard, he'd been in recovery, and he got married, and his business was going good and everything. So I didn't have any warning signs or any warning lights or anything. So I started talking to him, and we just started chatting really briefly. I guess he saw on Facebook or whatever that Audrey had passed away. So he said, "Dude, I heard about Audrey." So it seems like a regular conversation, any other regular conversation I have. So there's no warning lights at all. Like I said, in my mind, I think this guy's clean and sober and everything. So then he goes, "Dude, the girl they used to hang out with, the two that I used to use with them, like I said, and then supposedly he got remarried, and this other person went their own way." And he says, "Dude, Sissy's in the car. Well, you want to go say hi to her?" And right then, the warning bells start going off. And I don't have a complete picture yet, but I'm thinking, dude, didn't you get remarried? Why are you out with this, your ex? But then, I start remembering that they had a kid together. It's Christmas. Maybe they're doing, so all this stuff is racing through my head, and I say, okay, so I start walking over to the SUV to say hi. I get to the window, and right off the bat, I could tell Sissy is using, that she's under the influence. Her jaw is going back and forth, and I see another girl in the back seat, younger, kind of skin, not having a jacket on, kind of in a very thin t-shirt, let's just say. And right off the bat, Sissy starts kind of what I would call flirting with me. She starts saying, "Dude, you look so good." And I recognize this behavior because I used to do this myself. I hate to admit this, but it's one of the things I'm most ashamed of and that I regret. Back when I was using, and if somebody came around that I knew was clean, I would tempt them to try to get them to use, because if they're clean, that means they have money. And I would try to get them to use so I could use them for their money. This is a common thing amongst addicts, especially then, girls will use their charms to flirt with a guy. This guy's clean, I'll flirt with him, try to get him spend, because clean people, when you're in recovery, usually have money, unlike addicts. And I'm ashamed to say that, but I used to do the same thing. So I start realizing right off the bat what's going on here. And I look down, and she has a stem, what's called a stem, right in her lap. And she says, "Come on, hop in." And so there's two girls in the car and my buddy. And, I thought he was clean and everything. And she lifts up a bag, and it's got a big chunk in it. Right then, this is the moment right then. This is what I told myself ahead of time. Because you can't wait until this happens to prepare yourself for this. But, like I said, when I was in the NA groups and AA groups, I would listen. And I told myself, if this is a situation where I come across, people I used to use with, or somebody using or whatever, I immediately turn around and walk away. Just no excuses, no reasons, no nothing. There's no good I tell myself, no good could come to this. So I immediately I spin around. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I sucked in my breath because I didn't want to smell it, and I think I almost passed out when I was driving away. But I'll get to that in a second. So I turn around and I just start walking away, and she says, "You're not even gonna see." She says something snide, like you're not even gonna say goodbye or whatever. And I hear the girls laughing in the car. I don't hear Larry say anything. He's just standing. I walk right past him. I hit the button to my locks on my car, And I get in my car. I didn't even go in the store. I had originally gone there for milk and to do shopping, and I never even made it in the store. I got in my car. I just wanted to get out of that parking lot. As soon as I realized what was going on, the second I realized what was happening, I turned around and left, and that saved me. If I didn't do that immediately, if you don't do that immediately, that little voice, when you're an addict, that little voice just gets louder and louder. And there's this, your reasoning changes. Your priorities immediately start to change. The addiction wakes up, and you have to cut out of this situation ASAP. 'Cause in my head, I already started seeing like a picture. Well, maybe we could all go back to my apartment, of me, and it's basically like like a trifecta of all my triggers. The girls, sex, old friends, the substance right there. It's a bad situation, and the voices, the scenarios in my head are already popping up as soon as I turn around and walk away. If I had stayed there for a fraction longer, and it just even just started talking, just chatting, even if I tried to say no, but be cool about it and keep talking, I know it wouldn't have worked, because every second I stood there, that addiction would come back to life and get stronger and stronger. And it's what I used to call lighting the fuse. Once that fuse is lit, you're doomed, So I turned around, I get in the car, I don't even look at them. I didn't say a word. I'm still holding my breath, and I drive away. And I don't think I drew the breath. I don't think I let that breath back out until I was halfway down the road, and I started to see like spots, and I didn't realize I was holding my breath. And I was like, and I got back to my house, and I parked in the parking lot and just relaxed for a second. I didn't get what I went for or anything like that. And this was important. That moment right there, I'm so glad that I was prepared for that. That's one of the things when people ask me, well, what did you do to have 17 years clean and sober? This is one of the things right here. First of all, I changed my routine. But in this case, these situations will still pop up. I didn't expect this at 6:30 in the morning, like on a Saturday morning, to come across. Now I realize that these three were up all night long. And I still don't know what they were doing at Walmart, parked in a handicap spot at 6:30 a.m., but I'm pretty sure they had been up all night partying, and I have no idea why he was with his ex and not with his wife, or, I don't know, and I don't really care. But if I hadn't just had this already in my head, what to do in this case, in this scenario, it would have probably led to a relapse. So this is one of the things when people ask me, what did you do? How did you do this? How did you stay clean and sober? This is one of the things. Have this in your head, because these situations will pop up. Guaranteed, these worst case scenarios where all of a sudden you're presented with the substance that you have an addiction for. And every second that you let yourself stay in that situation, you get closer by 10-fold. Every second that voice gets louder, and the reasoning starts, the messed up reasoning starts to make more and more sense, and that whole addiction comes back to life. You have to remove yourself immediately. No excuses, no apologies. Don't, just because you look like a jerk, so be it. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is your recovery, and to keep yourself in recovery, you have to get out of that situation as quick as possible. So it worked, and I haven't seen these people. I haven't seen them again, and it was a learning lesson for me to just because I think somebody's been clean and sober. I thought this person was just like me, and he probably was. He got remarried, he was clean and sober, he got his business back, but somewhere along the line, he relapsed, and if I didn't do what I did and remove myself from that situation, I probably would have relapsed too, and it would just, it would spread. I'd probably end up getting somebody else to relapse. It's like it's a disease, and it's almost contagious, if you see what I'm saying here. So that's one of the ways that I've managed to stay clean and sober for 17 years. All right, I hope this made some sense to you. It's hard relating, because I lived this situation, so it's crystal clear to me, even from 5 years ago. But it's hard for me to try to relate it to you guys, so that it's vivid and it makes, it's clear, there's some clarity to it, so you guys understand the importance of what happened, of getting out of that situation. All right, recovery is possible. You guys have a great Sunday.